Hello and welcome to Under the Halo, our September edition of our podcast. Joining myself, Jeff Nobes, in the studio today are my friends Kevin, Matt and Mark.
Hello.
So I'll kick off the podcast with our review of the Southampton versus West Ham fixture. Mark, your thoughts?
Right, well, for me it was the opening half hour. I thought we were playing some really good stuff. Interpassing and everything was looking really well. Marco Gabbiadini obviously scored the opening goal and were looking really comfortable. And then, fortunately, Jose Fonte decided to try and assault Stephen Davis in the penalty box. We got a penalty from it. And fortunately, the penalty went in because the penalty was absolutely terrible. It was probably the worst scored penalty that I've seen live at a football match. But anyway, so 2-0, and we're looking comfortable, and all of a sudden, sort of the last 5 minutes of the first half for me, Hernandez was in the right place at the right time and put the ball in the back of the net. And I think before that they'd had Marko Matovic sent off, basically again for trying to assault Jack Stevens. So into the second half, and then second half we just lost our way, completely lost the idea of how to play football. I would have to say it was a Jekyll and Hyde thing, because first half we looked dominant and I thought to myself, this is going to be 3 or 4-0, and as I say, the last 5 minutes of the first half, we started to lose our shape, looked a bit ragged. Came out again in the second half, and again we struggled to get the grips that we were actually in a football match. And yet again, Hernandez, in the right place at the right time, good striker's instinct. The ball came out to him after the initial save from Fraser Forster. Although I would also say that when it was 2 each, West Ham had an opportunity to go in front, and Fraser Forster made an excellent save, really. The one about in memory would be obviously when we got the penalty awarded for the foul by Zabaleta on Mayashida, and all I can remember from that was it was a little bit like the rerun of Saints against Sparta Prague when we got the penalty, and Dusan Tadic decided that he was going to take the second penalty. He sort of got the ball, and Charlie Austin, a bit like during the Sparta Prague home game last season, sort of said to him, like, I'm taking the penalty, I'm the striker, you're not taking it. Because let's be honest, the only person who who thought they should take the penalty. Well, there was probably two people in the stadium that thought he should take the penalty. One was Dusan Tadic and the other one was his wife. Because, believe you me, if he had taken that penalty, I'm sure most of the Saints fans would have went into cardiac arrest, you know. So, fortunately, Charlie Austin took the penalty and won the game 3-2, and the rest is history. But, like I say, it was an excellent game, I suppose, for a neutral to sit and watch, because it had everything going on, send-ins off, fouls, you know, goals. But from a Saints supporter's point of view, I don't want to be going through too many of those this season.
Okay, thanks for that, Mark. I basically think we were cruising the game at 2-0, playing some very nice football. Let them back in the game from somewhere and nowhere, really. And we didn't make the extra man count. They went down to 10 men, and we really should have made that should have made a big difference to us, and we just didn't. It almost looked like we were down to 10 men, I thought.
Yeah.
You're right, at 2-2, they had a chance to win it, and I think we were quite lucky, really, to win the game in the end with getting the late penalty. We left it very late, and we should have been a 3 or 4-1 win. We really dominated earlier on in the game. We were up a man. We should have made it count. So, there was a lot of positives to take from the performance, but there was also the negatives, which I think has been the story of our season so far. But that's basically more points on that one.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the game, Kevin?
I've learnt that we're quite weak against predicting the lead. When we go like 1-0, 2-0, then we're like some way we're like, oh, we have to score the third one just to have like a chance of like securing the victory. But overall, I thought I've got to agree with both of you. What both of you said. I think we dominated the first half. I was a bit nervous when Tadic took the penalty. I thought he's going to absolutely sky this or go miles up in the air. But I think we let him in for some strange reason, and I think West Ham were quite kind of unlucky not to have at least got a point out of us in that match.
Thanks, Kevin. Matt?
I must admit, I have to confess I wasn't at the game. But what I've heard, pretty much the same as what's already been said. I think, looking back at it, the decisions that were made were the correct ones. I think that's important to say. I know a lot of West Ham fans and Mark Noble himself didn't think that the decision, especially the last penalty, was justified. But I think you'd have to go some way to find a neutral that would argue against those decisions. But it was a fortunate win, and as it's turned out with the other results, quite a big win as well. So like I say, a lot of positives to take from it as ever, but there is a lot of stuff to work on as well. But
Mark Noble shouldn't have been on the pitch at the end of the game. I mean, his tackle on Lamina was absolutely horrendous.
Yeah,
Studs up,
Okay, I think that completes our review of the West Ham game. Our next review is going to be for the Southampton versus Wolves fixture. I'll kick off this review by basically saying that I think it was a game that we really should have showed our class as a Premier League team against a Championship side. We were at home, and basically we didn't. I felt that we were outbossed and pretty much outclassed the large parts of the game against not just a Championship side, but a Championship side second string, because they basically made 11 changes from their last league fixture to that game. So I think it was a bad result for the club in general, really. We should have done a lot better, really. And we just did. I didn't feel that we created enough or anything, really. We need to be more creative and also take our chances as well, I think.
The thing that I didn't understand about the Wolves game was I would have said that would be an ideal game to have started someone like Shane Long, right? And, get him in behind the defence. But, we started, what was it, Charlie Austin?
Yeah.
We started with.
Yeah.
And the thing for me is, if you're going to start Charlie Austin, right, it's not balls to feet. If you're playing with Charlie Austin, it's not balls to feet. It's about getting crosses into the box and him getting on the end of it. you know, if you want to play balls to feet, that works if you're going to play, you know, Gabby Adini or Shane Long. But if you're playing Charlie Austin, you know, it's got to be crosses into the box and him looking to get on the end of it, you know. But as I say, I would have started Shane Long in that game because he would be hungry to make a point. And the thing is as well is, like, when you're playing that kind of opposition, I just think he's an ideal man because he would be on it. Whereas, you know, I think Charlie Austin, there's certain games that he's suited to, but you have to have the service coming in. I mean, one of the things that really annoyed me was we played our supposed three most creative midfield players that evening.
Yeah.
You know, we had Bufel, I think, on the right. We had we had James Ward-Prowse, on the right. We had Bufel on the left, and we had Tadic in the middle, right? And none of those three created anything all night. That was one of the most frustrating things for me, that I came away thinking to myself, you know, I just thought to myself, here's three guys, and you just think, you know, this is your opportunity to create something, and against, as you said, you know, a championship side, not a Premier League side. So from that aspect, we're struggling if these guys are our three most creative players and they're not creating. You know?
Yeah, so a bad performance from the midfield then is what you basically think. Yeah,
I think
okay.
it was definitely looked at as a chance to experiment with something different. Very obvious that we changed the formation as a three at the back as well, and tried to play out almost from the back that way. As much as I agree with Mark in saying about those midfield performances, obviously disappointing, it obviously just showed that they weren't comfortable with what was changed and what they were trying to do. And as much as it is a shame in a cup game and obviously in a competition that we did so well in last season,
Yeah.
I can see why a new manager coming in thinking that would be in his opinion the ideal time to sort of try that, and it just backfired.
The thing about that though, man, is, right, if you're going to try a formation, surely that's when you do it during pre-season. You don't
agree with
do
that,
it when
but
the season started.
Yeah, I'm guessing he wanted to use it as a competitive game to try it out, I'm guessing. But, I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong, it's still a horrendous performance, but that's another side that I try to look at it for my own sanity more than anything else, really.
In prediction corner, I predicted 2-0 Wolves. I just kind of like thought that we would play Jan Bananek, and when he played the last game, we lost 4-0 against Augsburg, and I thought to myself, I reckon we're just going to lose this game. Any game, we kind of played a reserve, apart from Yoshida and Stevens, we kind of played like Pied and Bananek, and I think them two are not really that experienced enough to play. I don't think they're experienced to play personally just yet.
Yeah, but Kevin, the thing is like Wolves made 11 changes, a full team, my friend. You know, I'm sorry, but if you're on the wages that the, you know, even the sort of squad players or non-squad players are on, you know, you expect them to come in and give a performance.
By the sounds of it, that Pellegrino wasn't happy on the sidelines. I think the best tweet of the night I saw is that I think Jeremy Payet is going to be grateful he's playing on the other wing on the second half because he'll be on the other side of the touchline to Pellegrino. But, so yeah, I think by the sounds of it, he really wasn't happy. But
how many goals has Jan Bananek conceded in his Southampton jersey? Just as what? I know he's conceded like 4 goals against Augsburg in pre-season. He's conceded 2 against Wolves. He's conceded two against Brentford. In my opinion, he's just not ready.
He was never bought as a straight into the first team signing, was he really?
That's what I'm not understanding though from that Wolves game, because he was put straight in, and
Yeah, but like I said, it's a cup game.
You have our hierarchy turning around and saying he's one for the future. If he's one for the future, I mean, you know, let's put it like this here. Emil Højbjerg, right, hasn't been given an opportunity this season at all, right? Because obviously there's an issue there. We're playing them in the under 23s. So why is it that if we buy someone and they're for the future, they're for the future? So you play them in the under 23s until they're ready to play in the first team.
I at least expect him to get one clean sheet out of how many games has he played for us?
So 3 or 4, yeah.
3 or 4. He hasn't kept a single clean sheet, so I've just kind of expected, we're going to lose this game. I don't see the point of going.
It puts a lot of pressure on the league campaign already.
It does.
Because it means we won't have a midweek game. Obviously, I know there are some league games that are scheduled for
Don't get me
midweek.
wrong.
But
I thought it was a potential banana skin. I did, because the thing is you're a little bit on a hiding to nothing. But when I heard that they'd made 11 changes, they were 5 or 6. I think it was
6,
5.
yeah.
But when you hear that and you're sat there and you've got people of 17 years of age coming on, right? There was a lad came on called Connor Rowan, right? For Wolves, and he's 17 years of age, this lad, right? And when he came on in the second half, he was more or less running the show.
But there was a quite, Wolves were like in a little period where they were they were enthusiastic. They had got a win in the league as well, so I was
They
expecting.
started
it's
they started
momentum.
pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course,
Printing
it's momentum. It's the same thing with Huddersfield. It's a momentum,
The other thing to add was that the Wolves reserve team had beaten Southampton's, was it under 18s or 20? Can't remember which one, but they'd beaten them 3-0 literally a couple of days before as well. So
it was
You
all
know,
boding well.
yeah. But yeah, I think it's really put pressure on the league campaign, but it also means now that we're going to have a very different scenario to last season, where we played most games that we've ever played in a season
we've got
last
any
season.
games then.
Now it will literally be pretty much once a week.
Yeah.
So those that will be wanting to get their place can almost just stay there, and the fringe players are really going to struggle this season, I think.
Okay, so that brings the review of the Wolves game to an end. Our next review is going to be Huddersfield versus Southampton. Thoughts, Kevin?
I thought overall we were lucky to get a point out of the game. I thought Huddersfield played particularly well. There was balls flying into our box, and the ball was always constantly up in the air. For me, it was like constantly header of this, header of this, header of this. It was quite. I can't believe we managed to get a point from that game. We only created the only time we created was towards the end of the game. Before that, I was thinking, this I can't believe Huddersfield haven't scored against us. But we had a last chance, and I think we should have scored right at the death. But I don't know. Apart from that, I was quite impressed with not talking about football related, I was quite impressed by the atmosphere inside the stadium. I thought it was absolutely rocking inside the stadium. That's about it, really.
Okay, cheers, Kevin. I was at the game. I thought the defending, from our point of view, was atrocious, to be honest. To me, it wasn't good defending. It was like desperate defending, and the ball was just coming off part of their body. They didn't even realise it was supposed to be coming off. It wasn't organised. We looked all over the place at the back. We weren't playing like an organised team.
That's why I was saying the ball was mostly up in the air, because it was like last ditch, hoof the ball. Yeah,
and I feel that Huddersfield battered us really for large parts of that game. I don't feel we created anything. I don't think we looked like we were going to score. A point away from home, you always take it, but I don't think it was a good point from our point of view. More of a bad point. But on the other hand, if you look at the facts and the figures on paper, it was only like a couple of games in the season, but Huddersfield were top of the league and they were unbeaten. So from that point of view, it looks good. But I think realistically, judging the game by our performance as a team, I don't think it was a good point.
I thought we settled for a point just by the substitutions that Pellegrino made. I thought bringing off Gabardini and he didn't bring. I was expecting Buffal to come on or us to go for the game, but he just the substitutions he made. He brought Long on, and I don't know who the other ones he brought on, but Sam McQueen. It was we didn't really go for the win.
I actually thought when we brought Long on, it actually opened up the
Yeah,
game
it did.
more for us.
Yeah, it did.
But and as I was going to say, I mean, it wasn't all sort of doom and gloom, I suppose, because I seem to remember that in the first half, Nathan Redmond had a shot that went just past the
Far
right
post,
hand,
yeah.
was it the far side post?
Yeah.
So, but from my own point of view, we were under the cosh for large periods, and it was only the last 5 minutes. James Ward-Prowse had a shout for a penalty when he looked like he was through.
It was a penalty. I've watched it.
And
Definitely
I can't
It was.
remember who it was that had the header that Ryan
It
Bertram.
was
I
Ron
think it
Bertrand
was.
at the end, yeah.
Ran Bertram at the end with a header, but would we have deserved the win? And it pains me to say it as a Saints fan, but no, I don't think we would have deserved the win. You got to take into consideration that, like Jeff said, it's on the back of, at the moment they've got the momentum, so it's probably a very decent point. But if you were to ask me, would I wanted to play them at this point in the season? No, I wouldn't. I would have preferred to play them on a blip, when the bubble sort of burst a little bit, when the euphoria's died down of them being in the Premier League, and we're playing them in bleak midwinter sometime. That's when I would have wanted to play them at Huddersfield. As for the atmosphere, yes, I get the atmosphere thing, but from my point of view, it was in our stand, so it was right next door to us. So of course the place is going to be rocking. I don't think the rest of the stadium was rocking. I thought it was a bit like it was a bit sterile in the sense that you had the clappers, and the clappers is the modern day invention of evil. To be honest, I'm thinking about bringing Mizzou Buzela to the next game, But having said that, it was a brilliant atmosphere within the stand that we were in, right? Because obviously the Huddersfield fans were next door, and that's where all the action was, and that's why we're thinking, I can't hear myself here, it's brilliant. But the rest of the ground didn't look like it was rocking. All they were doing was this with the clappers.
They had a guy on a microphone and a drummer, and they had literally.
The drummer was next door to you, Kevin.
Yeah, but
yeah.
there was a guy on the microphone getting the crowd going.
Yes, but Kevin, the other thing that I pointed out is this has only come about since the appointment of Wagner, because that's how they do things in Germany.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't say it was rocking when you were up there when we were playing them in League One, could you?
No.
You went to the game when we were in League One, didn't you?
Yeah, it wasn't.
And it was quiet, wasn't it?
It was quiet, but
They-
that atmosphere was.
It's because he has this thing where when they win a game of football, right, the actual players go and celebrate with the fans in our stand. The fans that were next to us, right? They go and celebrate with them when they win, and they do the waving of the arms and everything else. But it's only sort of came about since David Wagner's came to Huddersfield. But having said that, within the stand, it was a brilliant atmosphere. But the rest of the ground, I looked at the rest of the ground and I just thought, this is Leicester, because Leicester have a corner right beside us where it's rocking, right. They've got a drum going. There's a guy with a like you said, like a microphone, right, and it's rocking. But the rest of Leicester Stadium, it's very, very quiet.
For away support, I thought it has to be one of the quietest I've ever actually been sat inside the away section. We were quiet.
Well, you're only yourself to blame for that, because we were shouting our heads off, although we couldn't hear ourselves, to be fair.
No, we were sat all together, weren't we, for most part of the game.
You were sat quite close to me. Did you notice that it was quite quiet for our Saints section?
Yeah, I didn't think it was one of our loudest supports at an away game, but I think sometimes maybe the performance of the players and that in front of you can have an impact on the fans and getting behind the team in that.
I don't think it was that bad in that sense, in terms of the actual game. I think being at home, obviously winning the first 2 league games and then that cup game as well, and they were going to be right at us from minute one, and we knew that. Yes, because we could have played better, of course we could, but I think considering the nature of the beast, and like Mark says, it would have been a lot easier to probably play them later on in the season. And yeah, actually at the end it was the Huddersfield team and the fans that were the nervous ones, because we were pressurising towards the end. So I think, again, as we've said with the others, positives to take and things to work on.
Thing is, there was one stage where we could have been top of the table, and I was like thinking to myself, "Come on, Saints, go for it," and we just didn't.
Well, one thing I want to say, Jeff, before you wrap it up is there was one thing about Saturday's performance that I did notice, and that was that it was decided that Stephen Davis would play in a more advanced role, right, in the midfield, okay? And if anybody actually noticed, he ended up going backwards. He actually ended up partnering Romeu, in the centre, in the defensive centre. So, and what ended up happening was they ended up pushing Lamina forward before he got substituted. So
It seemed to work though. I quite liked the fact that he got into that role.
so did I. I think Lamina looks quite athletic as it goes. He seems to want to get involved, which is great.
Okay then, thank you. That brings our reviews to a close. We will now be previewing the September games, starting with the Watford game at home on Saturday. Thoughts, Kevin?
Against Watford, I reckon we're going to win this game. But I think we've had like a couple of weeks, 2 weeks off. I know we've had internationals, but we haven't really picked up any injuries. I think Virgil van Dijk's been training as well, which he might be brought back into the team. Fingers crossed he can buckle his head down and just get on with the game now. And I don't know which player deserves to get dropped. I'm thinking, which one would you rather drop, Stevens or Yoshida? That's the big question I want.
Arguably, you looking at dropping both of them and having Hoot coming in as well.
Yeah.
Now we got the options where we got 4 centre backs, and you can pick any different options.
And that's without Badnarak, you'll be pleased to know.
But I just think Watford, I think they've had a good start to the season, but I think at St Mary's, I reckon we win comfortably.
Yeah, I think I agree with some of what you said. I think we'll win. Well, I'm expecting quite a few goals in this one. I know when we played Watford away last season, it was 4-3 to us, so 7 goals. And I think when we played Watford at home the other year, there was quite a few goals. So I'm expecting both teams to score, quite a high scoring game. Maybe a 3-2 to us. Going back to what you were saying about the dropping Stevens or Yoshida, I wouldn't drop either of them. I'd just make sure that Bertrand and Cedric played either side of them rather than the other two that played in the Wolves game. It's one of those kind of games where you really should be looking to get 3 points home against Watford, but I think they're quite a dangerous side because I think they've got a few players is it Troy Deeney?
Troy Deeney hasn't played.
They've got goals in them.
Troy Deeney hasn't played, he's been on the bench.
Well, the 2 new signings for them this season have been starting up front, Richarlison and Andre Gray, so...
But they
got a bit more pace, and I think Yoshida and Stevens can handle a pacey player after playing against Hernandez. I think we should bring in Van Dijk back into the squad. I know that might be a bit controversial, but
that's a controversial thing to say. But the thing is with the Van Dijk situation is now he's back. We all know he's not likely to stay forever, so we want to obviously get some. Odd thing, we want to get some game time out of him rather than just sitting there doing nothing. And we know he's quality. And if one or two of the other players can learn off him or develop from his, experience and whatnot, that would be a good thing. And I think he could help. I still think he could help the club.
Yeah.
this season achieve something, whether we all think he's a good person or not. You know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's my thoughts on the Watford game. And Mark,
The Watford game, it's going to be interesting. Looking forward to actually see Watford. To me, they've made some interesting signings. Not necessarily the best signings, but some interesting signings during the window. I think signed Chimbala from Chelsea. And I think they've also signed Will Hughes from Derby for £8 million, which I think £8 million for England under 21 international. That's good business. I mean, that's the standout piece of business for me. But having said that, yes, always been goals in this fixture. But I don't know. I think Watford's a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde team. I think we've seen the best of Watford when they played Bournemouth, and they absolutely destroyed Bournemouth. I mean, that should have been about 5-0. You know, let's not cut any corners. Should have been about 5-0. But then we've seen the Hyde performance, which was the last week
Against
or
Brighton.
the week before against Brighton, where they got a man, sent off, and
Worst challenge of the
was-
season.
yeah, and it was 0-0. So it depends what Watford turns up, but I think with Marco Silva, you're probably going to get a game, because I think I'm right in saying that during the summer they signed something like 8 new players. Key for me is what you touched on. It's whether the double Dutch pair starts on Saturday or not. So it'd be interesting to see, if they actually start. It's something I'm looking forward to seeing. No offence to Stevens or Yoshida, but I mean, I know we touched on it, but the reason why we looked like we were all over the place at Huddersfield for me was Yoshida looked like he struggled for me.
Yeah.
But having said that, I mean, if it is the pair of Yoshida and Stevens, fair enough, because there's no way that Van Dijk could be ready. So the only change that I can see happening is Wesley Hood coming in for one of the other two centre backs, because I just don't think Van Dijk's had the training time.
True. He's been playing for the Netherlands this week as well, hasn't he? So he's obviously.
Yeah.
But who has? Yeah. So
Having a look at Watford's weaknesses, they like to protect the lead, avoid an offside, and keeping possession of. They're really weak against keeping the possession of the ball, so it could be a good game for Lamina and Romeo. I think that they're the ones that are going to have the most impact in the game for me.
The worry for me though is they've got pace, right? And the thing is pace on the counter attack. Are we going to be able to combat that? That's the other thing.
Their strengths are pace and attacking set pieces.
Yeah, pace.
So anything balls that go into our box, we're gonna have to deal with. And I think a player like Virgil I would play Virgil and Yoshida together. I think
But is Virgil ready, Kevin? That's the thing. Is he ready?
he's been training, so yes, I think he's more than ready. It's whether the fans can accept him.
I think there's been a little bit of sort of underhand with making him think that he's not been ready to play, so that he could try and obviously get the move. But I might be wrong in that. But I think there's been a little bit of gamesmanship on that kind of thing, because he has been fit to train for most of.
Has he come out and said they'll actually play for us though?
No,
I mean,
but he's got no
said-
choice. He's got no choice now. He's our player, though, is he? He's not going to just sit there and.
Well, he may just turn around and say,
I very much
I'm not
doubt it.
interested.
I very much doubt it. He's been given pretty much an ultimatum by Netherlands, hasn't he? So
He's got dropped by Netherlands.
he won't.
so
But he won't be picked in the squad if he doesn't
See,
play or anything.
I found that very strange, because Dick Advocat, who is the manager of Holland, right, came out and was backing Van
Yeah.
Dijk for the move to Liverpool.
Again, it's
and then
everything to get the move,
subsequently
isn't it?
drops him from the Holland squad, and
That's
you're thinking,
yeah, but that shows the true colours of what he actually thinks, doesn't it? He wants his star players to get the move, but when it push comes to shove, you can't play. 'cause
I
you've
would
not
say
been playing.
managers work in mysterious ways. But there you go.
Okay, that completes that review. Preview. Moving on to the Crystal Palace away game on the 16th. Thoughts, Matt?
Firstly, I'm looking forward to the game. I'm actually going to be interested to see what Crystal Palace will be like, because they have obviously been very poor the first few games of the season. Again, in a weird way, we might actually be playing them at the wrong time again. They'll be trying to pick themselves up. I know it's not the first game after the international break, but they'll be trying to pick themselves up. Obviously, the rumours about Frank de Boer's future already after a few games, which I think is a bit silly. But I don't know. It could go either way. They could really try and come at us, obviously in front of their own fans, really trying to get them on board, or it could be that they continue their poor form and we might actually get some chances to score goals.
Personally, I just can't see the last time we played them. I can't see us doing anything worse than what we played them the last time we played them at Crystal Palace's ground. I reckon we might win that one as well. But I think
Well, we were victims of our own downfall last year, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we made some horrendous mistakes last season at Selhurst Park, but I think, from my point of view, see, I disagree. When a team's in a bad run of form, that's when you've got to be looking to pick up the win. There's no point going to a place and they're on a bad.
Well,
I
I meant
know-
after
I
the
know
international
Saints-
break. So
I know Saints historically, a club's been on a bad run of form, like last season at Crystal Palace.
Yes,
I think Pardew hadn't won a game in about 2 months at Selhurst Park or something like that. And we rock up and all of a sudden we roll over and get our tummies tickled. But I think you've got to turn around and say, this is an ideal fixture to put a marker down. They actually say, look, this team's in a bad run of form. We should be winning this game of football. I mean,
yeah, that's definitely
I
the way that
think-
we'd be looking at it from our point of view. I'm just on about
yeah.
what Crystal Palace will be thinking themselves.
No, I understand. They understand that, but at the same time, I mean, it's a side that is in chaos, because obviously Frank's gone in there. Frank de Boer's gone in there, and he's tried to implement ideas that, let's be honest, the Crystal Palace players aren't sort of used to, or they're not. They're taking it on board, but they're not able to implement it on the pitch. I mean,
their pitch is not the greatest and all.
no, exactly. I mean, you can't play expansive football at Selhurst Park, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think with Palace away, it's one of those ones we've had some good results there over the years. We've had some bad results there. I think it's a tough one to call, and I think it's just one of those games where if you can go there and get 3 points, I think it's one of those games that you look back at the end of the season, you think that was a good 3 points.
Yeah.
Because it's a game that you don't take for granted that you're going to get at least a point there. You don't
Yeah.
take for granted you're going to win there, but you don't want to lose it either. So if you get the 3 points, it becomes a bit of a
Yeah.
bonus.
Yeah.
No,
Because
definitely.
I think it's one of those fixtures that could just go either way, and that's that really. Hopefully we'll get 3 points. It's a game we can win, but sometimes we win and sometimes we don't.
I've got to be honest. When you look at the Palace players, and I'm just talking about as a team, and you look at the start they've made an awful start. You look at the players that they have at their disposal there, and I personally think they've made an awful start. So you gotta try and take advantage of that. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know whether he'll play or not, but I'll be interested to see, if Loftus-Cheek plays, because I mean he was heavily linked to coming to us on loan over the summer, so be interesting to see if he kicks a ball in anger for them.
Of course, you'll have Sacco coming back
Yeah.
into the team now that he's signed on deadline day. But how much difference that'll make, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the thing is the one thing you would worry about, I suppose, would be crosses coming into the box. with Ben Teke there.
I said that
I
all
mean,
season, haven't we already?
But I mean, last season, like, we gifted him the goal last season, you know. But as I say, I just think it's a game you've got to go there, be a positive frame of mind. They're not in a good run of form, you know. Let's think differently rather than turn up. They're in a bad run of form and lose the game. Let's go. You know, they're in a bad run of form. Let's go to the game and win the game.
Yeah,
You know, win it.
Look-
You know, because they're not playing well.
Looking at their starting team, I think it's kind of a game where Bertrand attacks down the wing because they got
Get forward, get the fullbacks forward.
Get the fullbacks forward because they got Ward and Van Holt.
Van
Where,
Holt.
yeah, down. And I
Van
think if we can attack them down the wings and get the crosses in, I personally would play Austin in that game. I would put Austin in the game to head the ball in the back of the net. We're going to have to play tactically a bit different than we usually would. I think Gabardini in that sort of game, I don't think he's the right player.
Do
to play.
you think he would be prepared at any stage to sort of play the two up rather than just playing with one up?
In that game, I would.
I'd
Against
like
Palace.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see us play two up front.
Well, he did against Augsburg, didn't he? In pre-season. But Shane Long's sort of position when he plays is, well, not that he has played a lot, but when he has played, he's sort of been sort of quite sort of flexible, whether he's a striker or whether he's out wide. So, I mean, I think the one thing about Pellegrino is that he does like to mix things up. You know, he's not set with the one. He'll start obviously with the 4-2-3-1, but he's not set with keeping it throughout the rest of the game. I am actually with Kevin on that. Yeah, I think we need to change a little bit with our thinking with Palace.
You have to try and be more progressive, certainly when you're playing teams that, as I say, you know, they're in a bad run.
It's the kind of pitch as well. You got to kind of like Gabardini's more of a like. I don't think he's going to be the right player to play on that pitch. Personally, he's a bit more skillful and a bit more flairier, whereas I think
You want more of a workman, like.
I want a workman in.
So you'd play Shane Long then, surely? More,
Shane
but
Long.
then if you're getting crosses into the box, Charlie. But,
So, yeah.
but if you're
Stick all
looking
three of them.
for work rate, probably Shane
I
Long.
would play probably Shane Long and Austin together up front, play a different kind of
Formation.
Interesting.
Redmond down one side, and then go for I don't know Lamina in there with. Yeah, I'm trying to think of who the others wing. I don't think Tadic is the right player to play in our game personally.
Well, you got Tadic or Buffel.
I'll probably play Buffal against them. Get the balls in that we need. But is Buffal like good at crosses though? I don't know.
Depends if he does
So
a trick
that's a
first.
good point, actually. I don't even think of it.
You'll try and take it past the defender first. that's it. And then when he does it once, he'll do it again.
Okay, so that brings our preview of that game to a close. Now we'll preview Manchester United home on the 23rd of September. Thoughts, Mark?
Well, it's a few days after my birthday, and I'm hoping Saints are going to bring me 3 points for my birthday. But anxious is what I would say. I think the way they've started the season, there's alarm bells ringing in regards to that fixture, but the heart would rule ahead, and I would like to think that if we can get a foothold in the game, I think the midfield for us is going to be key. You know, when you look at the options that we have in regards to people that could start for us, you know, that's where it's going to be key, because we don't know, you know, what our centre halves are going to be. We know what our full-backs are going to be. We don't know who the centre halves are going to be. But I just think the midfield and getting hold of the ball is key, because if we don't get hold of the ball, you know, they could run riot on us, you know. But as I say, that's why you want people who are going to get hold of the ball. You know, Romeu hopefully will get hold of it, Lamina, and let's take it forward from there. As far as formations go, I'm slightly worried that we won't have an outlet, because I think we're going to need an outlet for the United game, and I'd actually consider playing 2 up top and try and take the game to them rather than, you know, I think part of me's like that because of last season and the what I would call conservative football that we played last season at home, you know, and you're sort of sitting there thinking, okay, I understand that it's, you know, it's all about gathering the points and stuff like that there, but at the same time, when you're at home, you want to see some sort of attacking intent. And I know that probably would leave us vacant at the back, but like I said before, hopefully by that stage the double Dutch team will be the 2 centre backs. But yeah, I mean, it's just a worry. It's a worry, and hopefully, you know, Pellegrino can come up with the tactics to be able to at least give us some sort of foothold in the game and be able to take the game to them. I mean, the one thing that I would say is, you know, and this is just going on previous times when I've seen him, but I remember when Lukaku was on loan to West Brom from Chelsea, and West Brom came down, and Lukaku scored. He either scored 2 or he scored a hat-trick, but he ripped us apart that day.
That was a day
And
as well.
I think I'm right in saying that we had Fonte and I can't remember who else was at the back, but Fonte.
That was our first Premier League season, wasn't it? That one.
Was it? Yeah.
Mm.
But he just tore us apart that day. So, like I said, I think the midfield for me is key. Personnel wise, just I am a little bit concerned, you know, but we'll come on to that when we're talking about, you know, the end of the transfer window, because even though I would, you know, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, I agree with some of what you said. Really, I think you got to obviously have your best team out against teams like Manchester United, and you know you're not just going to get a result if you just defend against a team like United. I'd like to see you have 2 up front.
Yeah.
It'd be good to see him start with Gabardini and Austin. I think it would be nice to see Van Dijk and Hope, if it's potentially possible, to be partnering each other at the back.
Yeah.
That would make us a bit stronger. And I think also the midfield, like you said, is a key area. You've got to be winning those balls in the midfield against teams like United.
Yeah.
I think players like Romeo could play a big part in a game like that.
Mm.
But yeah, you know, if you put your performance in, you put your best team out, you've got a chance at home. So I think we should go out with a positive stance on that one.
I've got to completely disagree with you in this game. I think we're going to personally, I think we should overload the midfield. I think we should play 4-5-1 formation, because I think midfield is key. They've got like Mata, Pogba, Matic as well. So, and Mkhitaryan, I think, as well.
Mkhitaryan, yeah.
And they've got quite a lot of versatile players, so they can mix and match. Like when one goes forward, one sits back.
Interchange.
So I think it's a type of game where I would put 1 up front, 5 in the midfield, be solid, and put 4 at the back. I think that's what I personally would do against United. I think if we can get a point from that game, I'll be happiest, Larry, because I think United have got a really strong team, and we don't. Lukaku as well. I think he tends to score against us as well, which
I think like, you know, and Kevin's right, you know, when he's talking about flooding the midfield, but really what you need is 11 players that are going to work their socks off, and that's what I'll be looking for whenever I'm watching the game, you know.
the thing is, we got like versatile midfielders, so you can like 1 minute you were saying like Stevens drop back and then Lamina go forward, and then 1 minute Lamina can come back and then Stevens can go forward. Davis. But like that's what I personally would do.
Yeah, it's obviously a tough game. They've started so well, and I think, you know, they've probably got the most balanced side in the division so far. Yes, it's only 3 games, but they do look very, very good and very composed as well. I think that's personally down to the transformation that Mourinho has had over the summer. I think he's just seemingly gone over a thing where he's made himself a bit more calmer and a bit more assured of himself rather than being sort of quite erratic. And
The thing
and
is,
stuff,
though,
but-
I mean, he doesn't need to be erratic. I mean, to me,
no, I know, but he was last season, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He'd lost the plot a few times last
but to
season.
me, though, the reason why he's so confident is, I mean, and I couldn't believe it over the summer, was when Chelsea decided to sell managed to
Yeah.
Manchester United. I thought,
It's a fantastic
talk
signing for
about
them.
shooting yourself in the foot, you know?
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's the signing of the transfer window, hands down.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, but it's made such a difference to that side, and it was the thing that they were really missing to the balance of that midfield and balance of the whole side.
The other thing I've got to say is, since he's come back, Phil Jones has really
Mm.
stepped up since the start of the season. I don't
Yeah.
know whether he'll continue the form, but he seems to be.
Mm.
I think it's Pogba's been going further forward and like supporting Lukaku, so
Yeah.
I think he's a threat. That's one player that I'm a bit worried about.
And as you said,
But that's what you're saying. You need 11 players that
Yeah.
are going to be on point and going to be given their all.
Mm.
We can't afford to have. He's got to pick 11 players that he thinks can go out there and do a job.
it's got to be 14 players in effect, isn't it, with the
Yeah.
subs as well?
What would
Yeah.
what would your
Yeah,
what
that's
would
right.
your starting 11 be against United then? What if you could pick a team? Because it's
got all-
kind of like my opinion is going to be varied, completely different to for that game particularly.
I'd probably play a holding 3. Actually, in the midfield I'm talking about. So you have the 2 centre halves. You would have effectively, wing back positions, right, where you have 3 holding midfielders, and then you would have a roamer and then one up top. Because the thing is, the worry that I have is if you put Buffel and Tadic, for example, right, on the pitch together and that sort of fixture,
No, you're going to get absolutely.
I just don't think you're going to get the shift in, are you?
I
And you
think I
need
would
you need
put-
11 people that are going to put a shift in.
I
For
would
you.
We've seen. Go on.
I would put Bertrand in, Van Dijk, then go with Yoshida alongside of him, and then I think he'd probably Cedric, yeah. And then I would play Davis, Romeo, Lamina, Ward-Prowse, and Redmond, like 5, and then Gavardini up front.
That's a good shout, Calvin.
Not bad.
That's a
The only
very,
thing-
very good shout, I have to say.
The only thing I would say to your point, Mark, is we've already seen what's happened when we tried to change the system.
Yeah,
So,
no, I know.
I
But the
think-
thing is, I'm not playing 3 centre backs.
I
I'm
understand.
playing 3 holding midfielders.
Oh yeah, I think you've got to tweak probably the 4-2-3-1 that we already looked at playing, and whether that becomes a bit more defensive or not, I don't know. I mean, it will be a tough game, there's no question, but
The only reason why I'm doing it is, the way I look at it is, we've got to try and do something, and the only thing I can think of is to get a hold, get a foothold in that midfield position. And if you play the 3 sort of defence, if you play 3 defensive midfielders, and notice that then, I would say Lamina, Romeo, and another, whether it's Davis, whether it's Højbjerg, because I'm not always convinced that Davis is a holding midfield player, but then he went against that at Huddersfield because he started up top. He was in the Roman role, and the game seemed to pass him by for me. But
yeah. I think the most important thing is actually this won't be the game that defines our season. So, I know
Oh, no, it won't be.
it's at
It
home,
won't
but
be.
if it is a negative result, this won't be one that I look back on at the end of the season and think, oh, should have got something out of that game, and
Oh, no,
really disappointed with the result.
No, but I think following on from last season, you just want to see, see us put performances in against teams. It doesn't matter who it is,
totally.
whoever the next home game is, like Watford,
Yeah, absolutely.
whoever it is.
Okay, now on to the preview of Stoke away on the 30th of September. My thoughts on this one are 2 defensive sides up against each other. I think it will be a draw all day long. I'll take a draw up there. We've had some difficult games up there in previous seasons. It's not one you want to be losing. I'll be happy with a draw on that one. What do you think, Mark?
Well, I think we should have enough quality to win it, because you look at Stoke, and apart from the Spanish lad that's come in, hopefully
Esse.
somebody can help me out.
Just say, essay.
Right,
Esse.
I mean, we've had the other Spanish lad who I thought was fairly good. I mean, he's ended up going back to Spain.
Or was that Boyan?
Boyan, yeah, and you know, and I look at Stoke. You know, Mijatovic is gone. You look at that side and you think very, very, a bit like Burnley, very workmanlike side, right? But you know, you're thinking in terms of the quality. You know, you think surely if we put out our brackets creative midfielders, you know, there should be enough there. But difficult. I mean, we went there last season and the game was a void of any quality whatsoever. Stoke went down to 10 men and we still looked like we were playing against 11 men, you know, and it was 0-0 and it was poor. And I'm just hoping that when I go this season, it just you know, the match itself isn't going to be a poor match, you know.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Stoke I think are a very ordinary side. I don't think they got much quality apart from Esse and Shaqiri. Apart from that, they're mostly defensive team. They got Zuma, Shawcross, and Cameron. I think if we go at them and not think, we want a point, we can actually. I reckon we can. I think they're a very ordinary side, and I think out of all the teams that we've mentioned, I think Stoke, out of the team that we're going to face, I think they're the ones where I think we can get a result at.
Having said that, I think Zuma's a good signing. It's just whether he'll sort of fit in with the rest of the defence, really. Obviously, got Jack Butland as well in
Jack
goal.
Butland.
If he's on form, then he's going to be very difficult to beat as well. I'm with Jeff on this one. I think it's got a draw written all over it. But yeah, obviously as a fan, we want to be there, and as Mark said, want to see a good game. Be an interesting game.
It's going to be the first time I've gone to Stoke in like about 4 or 5 seasons. So
Well, they've closed the corners now, so there won't be as much of a draw.
and I owe Virgil van Dijk the pleasure because I put a bet on him to stay, and then I bought the ticket.
That's why you were able to buy a ticket.
Okay then, so just quickly before we do our score predictions, a few thoughts on the transfer window's activity.
I think overall it's obviously been a different window. We've set the precedent that we weren't going to sell our best players this time. Happy enough with what's come in. Yes, okay, would have always loved one more. I think every team would say they'd always love one more. I think there's stuff that we can work with with the squad of players we've already got to sort out our issues up front. But yeah, obviously the massive talking point is obviously keeping hold of Van Dijk and obviously in the hope that he then goes on to play this season. I think that is a season-defining moment. And I mean, we're not really a club that sells in January, so I'd be quite confident of keeping him for the rest of the season. And if that pays off for us in terms of him playing well and actually him really improving the side as what he should be doing, then yeah, it'll be a really positive moment for us.
I'm quite disappointed. I think we should have we let 2 strikers go, and I think personally we should have gone out and got another striker in, because we're a team that doesn't score a lot of goals at the moment. So, and I would have got an attacking player as well. I personally think we could have let Van Dijk go, but we decided to be stubborn, so Liverpool didn't get him. Apart from that, Lamina looks like a good quality player, though, I must admit. But apart from that, I think it was not very ordinary, not a very good transfer window for me.
Obviously, we've not seen Hoot play at all yet, so that jury's still out on that one, obviously. But it'd be interesting to see how he does as well.
Well, Jeff, I thought that it was a solid window for us. Solid in the fact that we managed to bring in Lamina, which on the face of it at first I couldn't really see why we bought him, but thinking about it now, I sort of think, yeah, I've got it. Understand why he was brought in, and obviously sometimes it's about what's happening in the market. So the opportunity presents itself, for to go out and buy a player. Wesley Hood was much needed, so I'm not even going to pass comment on that. I think both of them are quality signings. Bednarek, you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt at the minute, because like they say, he's to me he's a bit raw. I mean, I don't know what Polish football's like, you know what I mean, but yeah, so we just have to wait and see on him. But certainly the other two signings in the window are both quality signings. There is a caveat to that. I'm like Kevin, I'm very disappointed that we didn't buy another attacker and an attacking midfielder, and I'm gonna lay my cards on the table. You basically you give a new contract to a youngster. Well, he's not a youngster. He's 21. To me, that's not young these days in football terms. Admittedly, he was scoring goals at Blackburn, and you know who I'm talking about, Sam Gallagher, right? He went off the boil between sort of Christmas and the end of Blackburn season. Let's be honest about it, okay? But the issue that I have is, you get him to sign a contract, you tell him that there's going to be a pathway and he's going to have opportunities to play in the first team, and then you send him out to Birmingham, right? We get rid of Jay Rodriguez. I can understand the reasons why, don't begrudge Jay Rod the move at all. For me, at the end of the day, last season was shambolic in the sense that there was players that were having good games and then they were out the next game. But that's a separate issue. But like I said, all we need is for Charlie Austin to have an injury during the season, which isn't beyond the bounds of possibility, and all of a sudden we're short. Shane Long and Gabbiadini, and you're sat there, you're thinking, where are the goals coming from? Because our creative folk, they don't score goals. They don't score goals. I know people say, oh, we've got Ward-Prowse, and we've got Buffel, and we've got Tadic. But Buffel every so often, yes. Tadic, wants to be the main man, but he isn't. None of those two are consistent enough to be the main person in an attacking midfield. I'm sorry. I do believe that Tadic is a very technical player, but he doesn't do it. And the thing is like I said, I would have liked to have seen an attacking somebody who can pick a pass come in, and I would have liked to have seen a striker come in as well. And I'm worried that like last season, us as fans are going to get sold short again, because like I say, all you need is for Charlie Austin to have even just a hamstring strain or something like that there, or whatever, and all of a sudden we're down to Shane Long and Gabbiadini up front.
Yeah, I think sending Gallagher out on loan to Birmingham was a strange one. I thought he'd feature a bit more this season with us and get some game time. The only thing I can think of with that one is that maybe the club were a bit dubious as to actually how much game time Gallagher would get with us this season, and they felt that it was important for the player to get that game time. They thought that maybe he'd get more game time with Birmingham on loan, and maybe they felt that he'd be better for that if he came back to us next year.
Or even halfway through the season if we needed him.
Yeah, but you just kind of feel that maybe that's a bit of a gamble because, like Mark said, if one of the strikers like Austin or something gets injured, you then look at it and think, oh, we're a bit short on strikers here.
I'm sure you'd be able to recall him if.
But then possibly maybe there's a part in the agreement where you can recall him if we need to.
Maybe. I think if there's not that, then that really wouldn't make any sense. But
no,
I'm sure that would be the way that the deal was made.
Yeah. But other than that, I would say it's been a good transfer window for us. I mean, we haven't sold our best players. Two good players in Lamina and Wesley Hope coming in. Hopefully they'll be good for us. But yeah, like Mark was saying, it would have been nice to have an attacking player. But I think on the whole, we didn't sell many players and sent a player out on loan for to further their potential. Hopefully it will come back and be a good thing for us. So yeah, I think all in all, it's been a good transfer window for us. Happy and content.
It was solid.
I'm the only one that thinks it was like a weak one then.
Okay, so we'll move on to our score predictions now. We'll start with the Watford game. I'm going to go 2-2.
I'm going to go 2-1, the Saints.
Yeah, I got 2-1 home win.
I reckon it's going to be a 2-0 win for Southampton.
Okay, Palace away. I want to go 1-0 to Southampton.
Palace away, I'm going to go 3-1 to Southampton.
You're stealing my results now. I thought 3-1 away win.
I'm going to go 1-0 Southampton.
Okay, Manchester United at home. I'm going to go for a sneaky 2-1 Saints win.
I think we're going to lose. But I'm going to say 1 each.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't want to say it, but I think from a realistic point of view, I think it will be 2-1 away win.
I think a 0-0.
Okay, Stoke away. I want to go 0-0.
I'm going to go 1-0 Saints.
Yeah, I think I'm same with Jeff, 0-0.
I think 3-0 Southampton.
Do we know who's in the lead at the moment? I'm guessing it's...
Yeah, well, the thing is we haven't got... Sorry for not reading out Warwick Dave and Hugh B's predictions. Hang on, we're going to do it in a minute. As if by magic.
So, Warwick Dave thinks Saints 4, Watford 0, Crystal Palace 0, Saints 0, Saints 1, Manchester United 0, and Stoke 0, Saints 1. And Hugh's gone for Saints 1, Watford 0, Crystal Palace 2, Saints 2, Saints 0, Manchester United 3, and Stoke 1, Saints 1.
Okay. And what's the running order at the moment?
And at the moment, the running order is Kevin on 4 points, Jeff on 2, Dave on 1, Hugh on 1, and Mark on 1, and Matt on 1.
Okay, then that brings our podcast to a close. Hope you enjoy listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye, see you later.
We hope you enjoyed what we had to say on this session of Under the Halo. It might be our voices on the mics, but remember, it's your voices that really count on getting this podcast out to the fans. So please recommend us to your friends and other supporters to follow our social media. If you want to get in touch, find us on Facebook and Twitter at Under the Halo 1 or use the hashtag UTHalo. You can also email us at underthehalo1@yahoo.com. Until next time, come on you Saints!